Hello, I'm back. It's Robin again. Hope that you enjoyed my last video. I'm a newbie, I'm an amateur, but I have a lot of good things to say, and I really want to help somebody. So I hope that if you did listen to my first video, that it truly helped. That is my mission. So I'm back and I wanted to talk about, as I said, I want to talk about it because no one is. We may just kind of veer off at some point, and talk about some other things, which I know that I am. But I thought about it some more and I listened to even my own video because I like to take my own advice. Of course, I take the advice of others. Um, but I did listen to it. And as I was listening, I was thinking. And, I thought about why, not me, but why do we get depressed? Why? Do you know why? Have you figured it out yet? Do you know what the underlying reason is? I'm finding that sometimes we do. A lot of times we do. Sometimes we don't. But some people, for whatever their reasons are, let me back up. My name is Robin. Welcome again to this very important series. We're talking about a life issue that is talked about, but not as much as I thought or would hope that it is, at least um, in the way that I kind of want to be able to talk about it. So that's what I'm here to talk about. So as I was saying, I was thinking about it and um, why do we get depressed? Like, what are some reasons? I know um, I, from time to time, have had to think what it is that's really bothering me. And sometimes it can really take some thought because it seems like after a while, we'll find ourselves being depressed, off and on here and there for a period of time, and then not even realize why we're depressed. And so that can be, somewhat troublesome, after a time. I mean, unless you like that place or get comfortable in that place, or maybe sometimes people, you know, God bless them, they like that um, pity. They like having someone feel sorry for them, um, possibly because it's their way of feeling that they're cared for or what have you. I don't know. I don't have all of the answers. I'm thinking that that is definitely in there. But you really have to be able to grow past that. And for me, I just want to fix my lighting here for a minute. It's bothering me a little bit. Um, so that part of it takes some growth, but it also takes really wanting to discover and get to the root of why. Now, one of the things I'm going to talk about what I just said, but one of the things I also want to talk about is that sometimes there are individuals who experience depression or are experiencing um, have bouts about have bouts with depression from time to time, more often than not. And they have a doctor, they have a psychiatrist, a psychologist. The psychologist has pretty much spelled out most of what they need to do, and maybe they've done some. But there again, because they have that element of care coming from someone that they talked to and really shared their life with and their heart with, they tend to be repetitive of either the behavior of feeling depressed about the thing instead of truly wanting to get a grip of what it is and how to get past it really so that we can or they can grow on. And so a lot of it is wanting to grow, wanting to grow. So as I mentioned, why do people get depressed? for a number of reasons: family, finances, relationships. Um, that might do it, right? I think that might pretty well cover it. Of course, school, job, peers, status quo, neighbors, you know. But I'm going to get back to that level of inadequacy that we talked about in my last video, the last video about having that inadequacy and feeling devalued, not like you're worth anything, comparing ourselves to other people. So before I get started any further and say any more, I want to know, did you do any of the takeaways? Did you do any of it? For those that I was speaking to about if you have pain, um, or if you have some kind of hurt, or if you're angry about something, did you write those things down? If you haven't yet, it's not too late. So do that. Write it down all the way out, the way you feel it. Just write it, say it the way you feel it. Write it out. Record it maybe. Type it out. Whatever you do, re-listen to it. Listen to yourself. Just listen. I mean, it's just going to feel good. So did you do that? Did you think about some things that you really like, to find you what it is that you feel good about, or that would make you happy, or that you might want to do, or how close you can get to it? Have you thought about that volunteering effort? Have you thought about joining that group, creating a group? Um, just give me some chats at the bottom, some comments at the bottom of this video, or even that, so I can know if that's helped you at all. And the key to all of this is maintaining, doing the same thing. As one person said, wash, rinse, repeat. So that if you come across the pain again, the hurt again, the anger again, that you end up just doing the same thing, and you find that works. You write it out, you record it out, you type it out, whatever it is. You reread it, and maybe add something to it or what have you. And that's just for you. Burn it up or tear it up when you're done, or keep it someplace that you feel comfortable with keeping it, and that you're okay with. If someone found it, hopefully it won't be anything self-inflicting harm that you would want to do to yourself. Hopefully you're not there. I do want to recommend that if you are, please don't be ashamed to get help. I don't think you should ever be ashamed of wanting to get help. But anyway, so wash, rinse, repeat. Read it, write it, read it, repeat. So that. And then the third thing was, are you that person, that executive who needs to, or thought about that thing you really wanted to do, but for whatever reason you chose not to because of, peer pressure? You're the, life of the party, the life of the office, the this, and everyone kind of looks to you, and for you to even think about doing whatever that thing is would just look so, I don't know if the word would be repulsive. I don't know if it would be anything like that, but would be just so below you that others would just frown on, and you would just feel that you would just lose their favor or lose that attention or what have you. Have you took that stand? Have you decided to go out and do that? Maybe if you do it undercover, you might even want to do it for that way for a while. That's okay until you're able to get the courage up and you're feeling good enough that you really don't care, because it makes you feel that good and you feel good about what you're doing. So anyway, hopefully you did take up those, do those takeaways. I have pretty much been doing most of what I know to do. Nothing I haven't told you that I wouldn't do or haven't done. So getting back to what we're talking about right now is that, why do we get depressed? Sometimes it's because of status quo. As I mentioned, it's about looking at other people, what they have, what they're doing, done, and just thinking less of ourselves. Maybe it's something that goes back as far as childhood. And then we have the psychiatrist, psychologist, the counselor, the therapist, whomever it is that we speak to. And we're kind of attached to them. Not that that's a bad thing, because the idea is growth, as I said before. The idea of getting counseling and help is to grow. to finally get to the heart of whatever the issue is, to face it, because that's what adults should be doing. We as adults is facing things so that we can grow on, because there's more to life than those things that have affected us in the way that it has. Um, so, and pardon my I say a lot, and people always get on me about that, but that's the way I talk. But I'll get better. So, those are some things as to why. But it's really about each individual figuring out what that why is. And one of the ways to do that is to really, in that moment, when you're feeling that way, sometimes when we're depressed or when people get depressed, they get angry. So because sometimes there's a progression to depression. So first we might cry because we're hurt about it. Then we'll talk about it to somebody, maybe if we're able to. And then we'll be angry about it. Then we might even laugh about it. Then we might just dismiss it. And sometimes that's really easy to do with some things. We just go through those emotions and it's done. Forget it. It's just not worth it. I'm not even gonna think, I don't even care anymore. And you really just don't care and you move on. But then there's some things that we go through those emotions and we say we don't care and it comes right back around again. And it really did stay with us. It stayed with that person. And so we have to really say, why does that affect me the way that it does? Why? Why? Is it a pride thing? Sometimes it's pride, sometimes not. Sometimes it is because we're so hurt and disappointed from whom this thing has come from. And so with that, we're going to just need to have to forgive. I mean, forgiveness is it's one of those things that's easier said than done a lot of times. But when we do it, we will feel better. Now, not right away. It's like, I talked about the analogy of having a cold. It's like having that cold, being depressed, and then taking that maybe nasty tasting medication or whatever, that cough medicine, and then giving it time to work, eating some things you probably don't like, your greens, your spinach, and things like that, or whatever, and taking good things and putting them in your body so your body can really, recover and get, flush out the cold and that. And then you get past the cold after doing all those things. That's kind of like what forgiveness is. We don't always feel really good about doing it sometimes. And sometimes we have to be the bigger person to do it. And it's like I said, it just is not going to feel good. It's not going to feel good all the time. But it's good for us. Like spinach, like broccoli, like the nasty tasting cough medicine or whatever. Not all cough medicine anymore is nasty, but my point is that, you take something that's good for you that you may not like. Some of those, I'm a person that I like most of my vegetables. I like spinach and I like broccoli. There's not too many vegetables that I don't. The only vegetable I really don't like is lima beans. I don't like lima beans. But almost every other vegetable I do eat. I do like. So that's what getting to the root of why I'm depressed. Are you willing to forgive? Are you willing to let it go? Is it worth allowing you to stay in that state or for this thing to come back over and again to haunt you when you're at those times when you're to yourself and you're starting to feel down? Is it really worth it? I mean, isn't it more valuable for you to just let it go so that you can have that peace and contentment about yourself and let them go and just let it go, let them go, whatever it is. Really? So that's one thing I wanted to talk about. The other thing I talked about was valuing and how we always compare, which I've already gone over. I'm not going to go over again. Watch my last video. It's all in there. If you have any questions, please feel free. I'll be happy to answer anything I don't know. I will definitely find out or put you in the right direction to get the answers. So I have some things that I want to talk about that I've written down. It's been some time. But one of the reasons why we have experienced depression is because of pain. Pain of the past, pain and shame. That's one of the reasons. And I wrote something down. I'm just going to read it. I wrote, how does pain motivate / move or inspire you? How does it move? Do you get angry behind pain? Do you just cry? Do you just shut down? What do you do? Because as I mentioned, all of those things are levels of different emotions that also can take one into depression. And then basically it's depression is like it's like it's like a layering, it's like a covering, like it's like a blanket. It's like something that just goes over you and you just feel this downward way. And some people resort to drinking, some people resort to smoking, some people resort to whatever they resort to. And that's what depression is. But really, some of it is pain. Pain of my present, pain of my past, pain of uh, what someone's done, said. That's what that is. And sometimes it motivates us to a lot of different things. I don't kind of feel like I'm flowing really good right about now with my points that I'm trying to make. Other than to say that to get to the point of why one is depressed is that it's going to take some really introspection. And if you already know what it is, it's time to grow up to it. If it's pain, I said this too, is that pain is par for life. Someone at work can say something wrong, whether they meant it or not, and it may hurt your feelings. I had that happen. A family member may say or do something. A spouse, a good friend may do. I mean, it happens. You may even. Can you imagine that? Do something to someone else unintentional, and it hurt them, and you may not have even realized it. And so, really, it's owning up, pulling off the layers, and really saying, "This is what it is," and looking at it. Owning up to what it is and why it made you feel the way it made you feel. Was it because of pride? Were they right? Were they wrong? Maybe they just didn't even know what they were talking about. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to hold on to it? Are you going to let it go? I mean, how long has this been going on? Has it been years, days, months? What are you going to do? When are you going to make the decision that I've been down far too long? I've been talking about this with my psychiatrist, my doctor, my counselor, my therapist for thus number of years. And I know I'm not making light at all of anyone's traumatizing devastation or anything. But what I am saying is that we have to grow up even in our emotions. A lot of times, as I understand it, I don't know if therapists, they may, I believe some of them do and may, I don't know. But when you go to talk to someone that's licensed and skilled, they like to go back to your childhood because a lot of times that's where the root cause of why you're feeling what you're feeling comes from. And so what I'm saying is that while all of that's true and they're doing what they do, and I'm not trying to challenge anything that they do, um, but what I'm saying is that the point to that is to grow up that emotion. That little boy, that little girl, is to grow it up and to look at it from an adult perspective and to understand that person or persons, what they've done, how what they've done has affected you. And now to this day, how you're going to choose to react, how you're going to choose to heal, how you're going to choose to forgive, how you're going to choose to let it go. And that truly is what it is, truly a choice. And a lot of it, along with needing to grow up in an area, is a choice of wanting to grow up and wanting to let go and wanting to move on in life so that it can get better and so that you, I, me, whomever we can get better at quote unquote rolling with these things, rolling with the punches, as it were, when those types of things come. Not to say that, devastation like that would come, but I mean, just the little things sometimes that may come at us. It's really about just growing up and maturing. Not for us, yes, but because we have other people, children, nieces, nephews, cousins, co-workers, I don't know, your cosmos, what's in your life, what's in your world. But you have others that you can help to not fall in that pit so that they don't miss out on as much as you have in life. You wouldn't, I'm sure, want someone to experience what you've experienced and the fulfillment, getting back to that, for you will also come in as you decide to face it, own up to it, to say, not to say that you did the thing that it was your fault, but to say that I've held on to this for long enough and I need to heal and I'm going to heal. And even healing sometimes might be painful from the standpoint of knowing that you're needing to forgive them and looking at it from an adult perspective. Imagine if it were, your child or what have you, and how someone had hurt them and that way, and how hurt you would be and how you would want to help them so that they don't hold on to that and miss out on life. And so we have other people that have been affected by saying the same or similar things day after day, year after year, month after however, however big or however small, that we're able to help. And so, in a not so good or the best way, we have become, quote unquote, someone else's pioneer in that area of emotion so that we can say, you don't have to deal with that like this. This is what I had to do. This is how I've dealt with it. And you don't have to go to tell them all of your life, but you can get to the point where you can kind of bullet point to them. And if necessary, if you feel that it's needed and you feel that it's something you could do, to share with them. And you don't even have to use yourself. You could say that you know someone and share the story that way. But it'll be about helping someone else. And do you know that that's another way of healing? That is another way of healing. So that's why what I want to talk about during this particular um, stream is why. And really, it's just getting to the heart of getting that quiet time. And if you already know, having the courage to look at it, really, and then making the decision to let it go. And every time it comes back to try to make you feel down, you have to say, I'm letting it go. And for whatever reason that you, and partly if the feelings come back, it's almost like you just took the band-aid off kind of thing. So now it's exposed to air or a little bit like, and it's still just a little bit tender, right? But as you begin to move on and go on about your life, the tenderness is going to go away. It may scab if it was something that was that deep. But then the scab will be there for a little while, but you can still live and function. And you even know that it was there. And that's looking at it, oh, saying that is something that happened in my life. But I'm healing from that. And I'm not going to always need a therapist. I'm not going to always need a doctor unless I decide to just talk to say how I'm doing. And maybe to get some more tips or something. But it's about progression. It really should be about progression. Now, I'm not here to try to take therapists or doctors or psychiatrists or psychologists or anything like that out of business. I am here just to simply help someone who has been dealing with something for as long as they have, a pain, a devastation, a tragedy, something that someone did to them that's hurt them so bad that it's taken them into a depression, to help them to want, well, I can't help them to want to come out, but to kind of point out to them that they have to want to come out. And that you should want to, because there's more to life. There's more to life. There's more to life. And maybe you do it, maybe you don't have it to explore life and do all that you like to do. But there's certainly something you can do, something that won't cost you a lot of money. And maybe you have the money to do some things. It'll be worth it just to be able to enjoy something else in life rather than sit and quote unquote mope, not to make light of it. Um, but that's what depression does. It makes us feel like crawling under that desk, going into that closet, hiding under that bed, and literally not wanting to come out. I think I sound like I know what I might be talking about because I've had feelings like that. And I had to fight those feelings off and say, no, I am not going to do that. If it means I got to cry it out, I'm going to cry it out, but I'm not doing it. If it means it's going to take me some to grow up and for me to encourage myself to get past it and to let some things go, whoever it is, whatever it is, and forgive and whatever, so that I can live and move on, that's the decision that I've decided to make and take. And that is the decision that one who wants to get past it is going to have to make. So a takeaway would be to get to yourself if you're not already to yourself most of the time. And really get to the heart of what that thing is. And as I said, cry it out, because drinking is not helping. Being angry is not helping. Lashing out at the world is not helping. What's going to help is when we get ready to say, okay, I'm going to grow up. And then to try your best not to go back into that state because it's easy. Because really, sometimes it gets comfortable because we get used to being to ourselves and feeling down. And that's work. You have to work at that sometimes. Not everybody, but some people. You have to work at it. But you have to want to. You have to want to. You have to want to grow up. And you have to want to grow up in your emotions. So that's a takeaway, is to have the want to. Check yourself to know if you have a want to want to grow up in your emotions. Check yourself. Check yourself to know if you're willing to be courageous and to look at that bad, terrible, ugly thing that happened and forgive yourself. Not that you did anything, because you may not have done it. A lot of times people who are victims, they didn't do anything. Even the littlest thing that they thought they might have done in adolescence. And sometimes in our adolescence, we can feel, even to this day, we remember so clearly that we knew exactly what we were doing. And maybe you did. And if you did, you have to forgive yourself. And that may be no wonder why it may be so hard to forgive other people, because you haven't even been able to forgive yourself. You have to do that. And that's called growing up. That's the first step. And then having a willingness to forgive that other person, because can you imagine someone may have done that to them? Because hurt people hurt people. Can you imagine? Someone did that to them. And so it's almost like you feel sorry for them because someone did that to them. And it's sadly, they did that to you. And hopefully, you won't do that to someone else. That's why forgiveness is so important. And I'm not trying to preach to you, but I'm going to tell you what. If you want to live a better life and get past the feelings of depression, that's what you're going to have to do. There's a lot of areas that I may be missing about talking about with this subject here. But I know that what I am talking about is relevant to someone somewhere. Something else just came to me, and that is to talk about um, a religion that some people, I have a very dear loved one who was in a religion. They were Jehovah's Witness. And some of the things that I heard um, are just very sad about that religion. And people are very depressed by way of that religion. Um, and I'm just going to say that and leave that alone. I don't know why that came up, but maybe it came up for somebody who's going to listen, who's willing to listen. So our takeaway is to take some time and to ask ourselves, are we willing to grow up in our emotions? Are we willing to forgive ourselves? Are we willing to forgive that person? To take that time out to truly look at ourselves, to look in the mirror if you have to, with tears flowing down your face. And even letting that anger go, writing it out, and just saying it, reading it, listening to it, whatever. If you record yourself, whatever. Give that. Are you willing to take that step to forgive yourself as well as the other person? Are you willing to grow up in your emotions? Do you want to move on? And if so, what's the first thing you're going to do? What do you want to do? Who can you help? Who can you help? because you're going to feel good. I'm telling you, you're going to feel good helping. So this is a little shorter video today about the why am I depressed. But a lot of it is just getting to the root cause. And I know I'm being repetitive. Getting to the root cause of what it is. I may come back and revisit it. I'm not sure if I'm going to post this video. I'm going to re-listen to it. And if I find it effective, I will. If not, I'm going to do it over and hit some other points that I think would be very more effective. If I'm not satisfied with the effectiveness of what I'm saying, I believe that what I am saying is effective. I believe that it is relevant. I believe that it is very, very practical because I believe in being practical. I believe that if you can't apply something that you're listening to that's supposed to be helpful, then it's not practical. And how helpful is it? You don't want just rhetoric. I don't want just rhetoric. I want to be helpful. I want something that's doable. How do I do this? How do I get past this? People need answers. And as I mentioned, I don't have all the answers. If you don't have a counselor, get a counselor. If you don't have a therapist, get a therapist. If you feel like you need a psychiatrist, psychologist, whichever, pardon my ignorance. I don't know the difference, and I really don't care right now, but I'll look it up, pardon me. No pun, all due respect to the psychiatrist and psychologist. But whatever it is you feel you need, get it. Get the help that you need. Just make it a point that you won't need it for the rest of your life. That you're going to grow past it. You just need like a kickstart. Hopefully I've been of some help to someone today. Please comment me. I'll take both your negative and positive feedback. I appreciate it. That's wisdom. So for now, that's going to be it. Again, I may revisit this to talk a little bit further because I didn't go a lot into some of what I wrote about pain. But just to give you a little preview about some of the things I do want to talk about going forward are, as I mentioned, pain is one of them. Rejection, which causes pain, is another one. I've talked about anger already. What else do I have here? Those are just a couple of things I really want to talk about. And we'll see where this goes. So that's it for now. I hope that you have truly got something out of this video. And I hope to see you in my next. Have a great day. Until next time, this is Robin. Remember, you are valuable. Your life is worth something. You are here for a reason. And if you don't know what it is, I'm going to tell you one part of what it is. And that is to help somebody. You are not helpless. And you are not hopeless. Your life is valuable, of value. See you next time.